What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by the Real Estate Cheat Code. I have Shannon Grimm with us with Shannon Grimm&Partners at Howard Hanna Real Estate Services. And, we were just talking a little bit behind the scenes. And Shannon, I'm super excited to have you on today and to share your story, to share your journey into the real estate space.
Thanks for having me on. So glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, and I always tell people we've been social media friends. The last couple of weeks, we've been talking on the phone about some things that have gone on and happened, and but we never got to really meet face to face. And I always enjoy, not that I don't enjoy having people on that I already kind of know, but I always enjoy having people on that maybe I've just been social media friends with. Because me personally, I get to learn about you and your journey and your path and just kind of how you think about real estate and building your business. So I'm super pumped and excited. And Shannon, where we always start here on the Tell Me More podcast is from the very, very, very beginning of life. And, I always find that there's usually things that usually happen either early on in a career that really have big impacts in our real estate business and how we think about our business. So for you, what was life like for you growing up?
So I was basically, I was raised by my grandparents, a small town on Lake Erie called Vermillion, Ohio, next to Cedar Point. So loved growing up there. Wouldn't have traded that for anything in the world. And I knew someone who was a real estate broker in town and thought that was kind of cool, but really didn't think much about it then. Because in my hometown, the only way people move is they die. So, it just wasn't, and there was one realtor in town. That's all we needed, right? So didn't really think about real estate then. But in school, I also had fantastic teachers, and they taught me a lot about confidence and making me confident in myself and making me confident in, the fact that I was smart. I could do what I wanted to do. And teachers who really pushed me to do better. And I really like that. And I don't know that teachers now have the ability to do that in the way that was done with me. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Did you have any hobbies or interests growing up?
Oh, photography. So I started with photography when I was in second grade. And
wow.
I basically documented our whole school life. So I was pretty much, one of my best friends we've known since kindergarten. So I've documented that whole time from the time we were in kindergarten until we graduated high school. And at one point became a professional real estate photographer. So I owned a franchise here in town. And I also owned a real estate publication called Real Estate Executive of Central Ohio, which I started right before the crash, which was not a good time. But it was still a fun experience.
Yeah, all learning lessons, right? Like I always tell people, like, real estate's just business. Business is business. And I honestly look outside of real estate a lot for other ideas and things that I can be taking from them and implement into my business or into the team's business. So, all learning lessons. So for you, Shannon, what was the next step after high school? Did you dive into the career field? Did you go to college, military? What was kind of that next step for you?
So I had to work and go to college, which, became increasingly difficult. So I went to the University of Akron first. And there I ended up being a marketing director for a Domino's pizza franchise. They had 13 stores. And that was an interesting experience, considering there was no internet or anything then. So had to do marketing the old-fashioned way and come up with different promotions and stuff and do that. And then I ended up in Columbus. And so dropped out of school for a while, managed restaurants down here. Went into property management also while working in restaurants. And I would come home and watch the Sunday morning home show that King Thompson and HER would put on. And just was totally addicted to that and thought, how cool is that? You just show homes and you make tons of money. Turns out that's not really how that works, but that's what got me interested.
I'm curious. You mentioned two big things that real estate agents need as far as skills, and obviously one we typically outsource is actually both we might outsource, but one photography, right, and
Mm-hmm.
the second one is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And most real estate agents get into the business and they don't have those backgrounds. I didn't have those backgrounds. I got in right out of college and no clue on either one of those. I'm curious, what was something that you learned from, the marketing side of things from being with Domino, Donatos, right?
Dominoes.
Domino's,
Yep.
being with Domino's, and the advertising world, pre internet. Well, anything that you took away from that maybe you apply to your real estate business today?
Yeah, absolutely. Building relationships with other vendors. So getting
Mm,
them to want to advertise on the pizza boxes, stuff like that. Having them hand out our discounts and stuff like that also. And I was able to boost business by about 20%. So that was really
wow.
cool for me and being recognized for that. And then I also waited tables part-time at Spaghetti Warehouse and managed pizza places down here. Well, Spaghetti Warehouse developed an in-house marketing position for me that they had never had before. So that was really cool too. So a restaurant that sat 600 people at once developed a position for me. And those kind of things too also really boost your confidence. So when Domino's, looked at an 18-year-old me and said, "Hey, you can do marketing for us," that was kind of cool. So,
Yeah.
and then to have Spaghetti Warehouse have the confidence in me.
It's one of those things where, you said basically, partnerships with your
Mm-hmm.
vendors, your affiliates, that really helped push your product or help
Mm-hmm.
reduce even expenses. I think for teams and obviously brokerages, that's probably common practice. But I think for the average real estate agent, I think that's honestly a big missing piece to their real estate business that can help them grow and get to that next level.
And that's actually funny. So basically, like all since I've been in real estate, I've not really wanted to, use vendors to help me financially because I felt like, I would owe them. And when I refer someone to a vendor, I want it to be because I believe in what that vendor does and that they give a discount to our customers, not because I want money from them. But I've also learned that, there are some out there who support me no matter what I do. If it's, if I'm doing the Builder Expo or if I'm saying, "Hey, we're having people at my model home, will you chip in on food and stuff?" They'll do it every time I ask. So I do value the relationships immensely. And that also just makes me feel good because they stand behind me and I stand behind them. So I
Yeah,
still have no issues, recommending people to them because I don't feel like the people I work with support me because they expect something back.
sure.
I think that's important too.
Yeah, and I, I have this conversation with a lot of agents, and obviously, me personally, I help a lot of people get into the business,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I think sometimes agents get caught up on the big picture of what their goal is. I want to sell X number of homes next year,
Mm-hmm.
but I try to get them to look at it from the small side of things, right? Like, imagine if you could get one referral from your lender a quarter. Imagine if you could get one referral from your go-to painter, a quarter. Imagine if you can get one, referral from, and that list can just go on and
Mm-hmm.
on and on and on. And that's just, how I look at like how you could potentially build your business is, if you want to say one of my business pillars is through my affiliates, then you just need to go and build those relationships like you did with Domino's of hey, like we can help each other win, right?
Right.
Like hey, we're giving you this platform, our pizza box cover or whatever, right? And we're going to help you get your product out to the masses, and in return, obviously, you're going to probably help us with some of our expenses and marketing dollars and all of those
Yeah.
things.
Because we had to actually buy paper and print them at a place.
Yeah, yeah,
Back in the
yeah.
day.
So
But
Shannon,
yeah, so I
go
am
ahead.
pretty realistic though on like our vendors have multiple agents they work with. So I still don't count on them giving me referrals or anything, but they do. So I like that stuff to be very organic too. So it always makes you feel good when they pick me too, because I know most of them have tons of agents they can choose from. So it's just
For
a big
sure.
compliment when they do pick us. So.
For sure. Shannon, lead me up to, your career path. I know you touched on it obviously a little bit there, but your career path up into the decision of I'm going to get my real estate license.
Well, so I was doing marketing and I was managing, and I really became addicted to that home show. Really didn't know much about real estate. Kind of like a lot of people now getting into it, they think we just golf and roll around in money. But I remember being in my very first office, like, what do these people do here all day? Like, why aren't they out showing houses? Why is there so many pieces of paper? Like, what can there possibly be? All we're doing is showing houses. And training back then was much different too. I was handed a phone book and said, start calling. I'm like, what do you mean? And he was like, start in the A's and just call them and ask them if they know anyone who's looking to buy or sell. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I was a statistic also in real estate. So I got licensed in 96 and I was gone by 98. But I also worked with people like Paul Love, who developed Linworth Village and worked with some custom builders there, Armando Tempesta and Emmy Whitaker Homes, and really loved doing that stuff, and ended up going into new construction and being an employee, letting my license go, and not even going in referral status, not knowing how any of that worked, and just letting my license go, which I should have never done, but I did. And then I really loved new construction. And then one of my buddies, who is also the Forms R Us guy, and he has multiple businesses, Brian Hoy, he's like, look, you need to just get back in. He's like, come work with me at Remax. So I got relicensed and worked with him for a while, and then he decided to open up like 12 more businesses. So it's like, okay, but watching him work was amazing, and watching just the amount of work he puts into everything he does really pushed me too.
I'm curious. So 96 to 98, you're licensed, and then you really kind of get into the new construction space. Mm-hmm. Was it just because that was the opportunity at the time for you, or how did you kind of go and think about those first 2 years of your business? Did you have success, struggles, and also too, like, I'm a big believer that your circle, right, is important, of who's around you, family, significant others, friends, all of those things, doubters and supporters, right? Getting into the business 100% commission based. I think it's a little bit more common now to be an entrepreneur and to start your own businesses, but probably not so much, in the mid to late 90s. But for you, kind of walk me through those first couple of years, and then that switch, you went into the new construction space. Was it just the opportunity?
So my go around with real estate was horrible. So, you get into this and you literally just did not know what you were doing. There were no training, nothing back then. And, I had some agents that were super nice and then agents that weren't. But the ones who really kind of took me under their wing and kind of showed, hey, you should be in new construction. You tend to do really well there. And Armando Tempesta actually, his faith in me really helped push that too, because I had never met him before, and he walked into an open house and we just, it was amazing, that interaction that I had with him, not knowing who he was, and he was impressed with me, and that meant a lot to me that he was impressed with me. And then Joanne Figge, she had Prudential Residential One, and went over to her brokerage with some other agents that were leaving King Thompson as it was becoming Coldwell Banker, and went over, and she wanted me in her new construction division, which I thought was really cool, that I had a broker who was actually taking an interest in me and thought that I would do well in new construction. So I got to work a condo community for Don Kenny through that. So that was an interesting experience as well. And that's what led me to go into new construction. Plus I was like, okay, as a real estate agent, I still had to work other jobs, like 2 other jobs, because I was like 21 years old. I had no, steady income. So I thought, okay, new construction is where I can actually get a steady paycheck. And so that's what I went into. And it was, basically working 11 to 7 or, beyond 7 days a week. So, and that's a 7-day-a-week career also.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, I always tell people there's so many different ways that you can be in the real estate industry. And, sometimes you have to get specific as to why do I want to be a realtor? Why do I want to be a real estate agent? There's so many different things that you can be doing and still be in real estate, right? You don't, I just feel sometimes us as agents, we latch on to this identity that I'm a real estate agent and I can't do anything else, or I can't be anything else, or, this is all that I am. And, I have candid conversations with a lot of people around like, I get it, but I want to know why. You need to have passion for each and any side of the business that you're a part of. But like, why specifically a real estate agent,
Well, and that was the thing is I had been a real estate agent and didn't do very well at that. I think I had 1 listing, a few buyers. Still remember my first sale and my first listing. So, those were fun experiences, and I had a great time helping people achieve their goals. And that was a lot of fun. So I'm like, okay, where else can I do that? So new construction was a place where I could do that. Because initially in college, I started out as a nursing student too. And just nursing is not my area. So still wanted to help people, but without all the stuff that comes along with nursing. So, and still really like to, hear people's stories and help them do what they want to do next. And whether it's, buying their first home or moving up. And then I stayed in the business one way or another. So, and I, still had to forge relationships with other real estate agents in new construction. And then when I started the photography business, I had a lot of agents like Kathy Greenwell and Sue Leach were huge supporters of my photography business, and Brian Kemp. So, and Brian, I followed that man to Prudential too. So he was there. I loved him. So those guys just, it wasn't like they looked down on me because I wasn't in real estate. They were willing to help me and support me in what I was doing. And that just gave me all the more appreciation for them, even now. And Joan King was huge with my photography and just helping kind of push me along. So I don't know, I love doing that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, those that, follow, this podcast and listen to every story that is shared on here by agents. I hope that the audience picks up on that we all had mentors, or we all had people in our corner that wanted to see us be successful. Obviously, we had to go out and still put in the work, right? But we had that guidance. We had those people to lean on. And sometimes I think ego is one of the things that gets in the way of a lot of agents having success. And it's most because I want to do it on my own. I want to be my own person. And, they may take advice, but they may not actually act on it, right? It's just going through the motions, so to speak. And, anyone that we have on here has come on here and said there's someone that's helped me, whether it's one person or whether it's 10 people.
Well, like with Sue, so Sue Leach, I adored her. I idolized her, but I was terrified to speak to her.
So I think that's so common and natural, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just remember when I first talked to her, and she's just so sweet. She's just such a natural, caring person. And, like Sherry Segna, like all those guys, I call them my cheerleaders. So it wasn't necessarily like one thing they did, but they welcomed me in and they made me feel comfortable when I started out. And then when I became a photographer, they were still very welcoming to me. And I mean, I doubled my photography business 4 years in a row, like doubled it. I kind of maxed out.
That's awesome.
And, Kathy Greenwell did a lot of business with me photography wise, and really didn't have conversations with her until we became Howard Hanna and we went through that sale. And to me, having her say the words to me that she said to me, I was like, oh my God, it's Kathy Greenwell. So I don't know. I think people in this industry do have a lot of ego, but there are some great ones out there. And I tend to stay to myself a lot. My team and I were pretty, I don't know. When we go to networking events, we network with each other.
Yeah.
So just, I've been around my husband too long, who's an introvert. So I don't really like talk to a lot of people. So I feel like I don't know a lot of the, I call them newer agents, but the agents who haven't been around since the 90s.
Yeah.
So because I just don't like talk to people. So it's nice when the people who I've basically grown up in this industry idolizing take the time to talk to me.
Yeah. Let's talk about, your real estate career path. So obviously you go real estate agent, then into new construction space. How long were you in the new construction world? And then when did you make that decision? I know you had a conversation, obviously, but when did you make the decision to then say, hey, I'm going to go and reactivate my license? And then from there, obviously you had other businesses come up. What made you then decide to tap into the other real estate verticals that we have going on?
So basically, when I got, I worked in new construction from like 98 to 05. And in 05, I remember Brian Hoy used to come visit me at my model homes and just sit with me and BS with me. And he's like, why are you still doing new construction? Like, I would give him all my referrals. And he's like, just, work your own referrals, get your license again. You can work for a builder and have your license. And I'm like, okay. So I decided to get my license again. And then at that time, I also got a call from a RE/MAX agent. Her name escapes me at the moment. But she had owned a photography franchise here in town, and she was willing to have me take that over. Her name's Connie. I forget Connie's last name now. But she called me, and I met her at a new construction site that I was working. And she loved me, and I told her how much I liked photography, and she, anyhow. So that's how that came about. And then I forget how I even found out about the magazine publication, but I thought that was kind of neat. And I could kind of use the people that I knew in new construction that I had made relationships with there and, have them advertise and stuff. But then the advertising dollars dried up pretty quickly on that. But
so did you do all three of those at the same time
sure
or
did.
around the same time?
Yeah.
Talk about really ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. So, because I still had to make a living. So, going back into real estate full time, I'm losing that, the commission, and the builders back then would pay you at least the base pay. So I was losing all of that by going back and doing something else again. And I had to make the photography business better than it was. She did a decent business, but I needed to make it more. And I stayed pretty busy with that. But
so 05, you dive back in, you start doing, three different businesses at one time. You diving back into the real estate side, the agent side of things, how did you approach, and obviously we all know, the crash and the recession and all of those things, but how did you approach your business that time around? And was it any different than the first time?
So basically I was with Brian Hoy, worked on a team with him, and just kind of like followed him and saw what he did, and that sort of thing, just seeing how he working his listings, doing open houses and stuff. So it was a little different for me that time around. But then again, he got super busy. And so it was still a little rocky because I'm still doing it part-time. Part-time in real estate, they just can't go hand in hand, unfortunately. And then I ended up even also around that time going back to school and getting a degree in real estate. I just trying to, like, when I switched brokerages, I've switched a lot. So I switched a lot between 05 and 2010. And I was at Keller Williams Capital Partners twice. I was at King Capital, which was Joan King. And I was at Exit One for like a couple of weeks. So, you can't jump around like that and do it part-time and expect to have any amount of success. I got into it full-time in 2010 because I met my husband in 2007. We got married in 2010. and I read an ad for someone who would have their real estate license but want to represent a builder. So it was for HER's builder division, and Butch Wallsmith was the head of that. So I applied for that, really hit it off with Butch, and ended up taking over a community called the Lakes at Cheshire in 23. And that did not take off for another 3 years. So got my first sale January 1st, 2013, and then was there for 9 years.
You know, it's interesting because I got in 2011, and man, if we could go back to those new build prices right now, you know, it would solve a lot of problems. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And I still have ads from the 90s, even when I would advertise, because we had a real estate magazine that you would advertise in all the time. And I still have ads from back then. So kind of funny to see the pricing.
So you were running new construction and real estate agent at the same time during that period of time?
Yeah. So I was working for a very small builder. They build as an LLC, and I was selling condos. So I've done condos since the 90s. So, and I really enjoy condos too.
What's something that you've learned in the new construction space that maybe that the typical real estate agent doesn't pick up on, or they don't use, or, you know, a tool or something that we could take away from that side of the industry and apply it to our side?
So how about, I'll tell you what I wish more agents would do.
Perfect. Even better.
I wish more agents would get out of their own way when it comes to new construction. So a lot of times they try to push things on a builder that builders won't do. Builders won't bend. They don't need to. And, you know, I don't know if they're trying to prove their value to their client or what they're trying to do, but it ends up hurting the client overall when they're trying to get, you know, addendums with certain things on them, or, you know, stuff like that, that the builder just won't do. The builder might be willing to do something like that, but they're not going to do it because the agent is trying to force themselves on them. So, you know, listen, meet with the builder rep before you take your clients. Find out what some of the things are that's different. All builders are different. So, you know, really engage in the new construction communities. Find yourself a rep for each builder and find out how that builder works. And, you know, like so I'm with 3 Pillars. So 3 Pillar in my community is different than it is in Jerome Village and in Evans Farm, because I'm the only condo community that Xenios has started from the ground up. So, you know, go to these sites and see what's different, and don't just try to force, you know, what you think on them. Like if they have incentives, they have incentives. You're not going to change their mind typically. So, you know, find out what's going on with that builder and develop a relationship with a builder rep that you can trust, that you know is going to help you through the transaction and help your client and do the best thing for your client. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think look, I mean, I don't do a ton in the new construction space. I didn't do anything probably for the first half of my real estate career in the new construction space. Like, it wasn't a focus, right? I did maybe one deal a year or one deal every 2 years of new construction. But, you know, in the future, you know, when you look at opportunities of what's in our marketplace, new construction is going to be the thing that solves the lack of inventory, right? Just with the way that low interest rates are and the people that bought at that time. And then you have the institutional buyers and all of the other investors and lack of foreclosures and all of those things, right? Like, the road is leading us down to new construction. And
still creating inventory there.
Yeah. And, you know, I think as agents, you're spot on. I think a lot of times we struggle with, how do I bring value to my client, or how do I justify representing them during this process when the builder and the builder rep do 95%, 98% of the heavy lifting, you know?
Well, I think that's where people get confused. That's where agents get confused. Your value is in showing up and listening and paying attention. So maybe taking some notes, so that when the builder rep says, oh, well, we didn't go over that, you say, yeah, we did. I have notes right here. You know, we covered this, and this is what my folks said they wanted. And you were going to put that in the purchase agreement. Like, being that second set of, you know, eyes and ears for the client. Just observing, listening, and taking notes and taking photos. So, I mean, I go and I take photos of all the selections. I remember one house was being constructed with the wrong exterior front, and the builder tried to get my buyers to pay to replace the front they put on with the front that they ordered. And I'm like, no, here are my photos, here's my documentation, here's everything. So that's where I create value. So I create value in listening and paying attention and taking notes and photos, just to be that backup resource.
Shannon, when did you decide to build the team? When did that come into play?
So I decided that I'd been on a one really bad team, technically, and didn't ever want to have a team. And then I did. So I'm like, really? So I kind of hit a wall. So like, I can't do more than like 10 transactions at a time. It's really difficult to give everyone your full attention. And they're like, okay, well, I just kind of need someone. So I reached out to Dennis Schwartz. I'm like, why is that name escaping me? So I reached out to Dennis Schwartz. He was teaching at Columbus State. He had taught some classes for me at Columbus State and at Hondros back in '95. He taught my finance class and remembered me in '06, which was really freaky. But reached out to him and asked him, who he would call. He gave me 2 names, and I called both of them, and the one that called me back was Aaron Singerman. So the deal was that, Aaron would work with me as an employee, taking care of all the stuff I didn't want to do, that I wanted to have more time to focus on the customer for, and that, he could follow me around. He just couldn't speak because I was afraid of getting in trouble. And that he would be with me for 6 months before he got licensed, and then he'd go on his own. I think he went on his own for maybe a couple of weeks or a month, and then was like, okay, I'm back. So then we were a team for several years after that. So
what year was that?
Little brother. So he started with me in 2014. He was licensed in 2015.
Yeah. So. And that's another thing too, right? Like, as a new agent, I always tell people, whether it's if you're on a team or not on a team, within your own brokerage or outside of your brokerage, there are people that need your help, and that they would switch mentorship for you to go and drop signs, or you to go and put lock boxes on, or you to go and clean up a CRM, or whatever the case is, right? And the one thing I try to explain to a lot of agents getting into the business is you need to be doing real estate agent activities daily.
Yeah.
And you volunteering your time to someone like yourself or someone like to me is a huge value add to take some of those things off of our plates. And in return, we're going to pour into you and show you exactly what you need to be doing. And that's just another example. And Aaron now, is running Keep Realty here in Columbus, and, on to bigger and better things. And
again, a little salty for a while, but
but again, going back to
it was like losing my kid brother. That's why. Like, I was just kind of devastated more about how I found out, and it was more of a blow to me personally than professionally, because he was with me for over 3 years, and there were days when we would talk for hours on the phone, and we went through my mom dying and his dad passing away, and we were both there for the other one. And there'd be times when, I'm talking on the phone with him all the way when he drives back to Cincinnati, or when I drive up to my hometown, and you just sort of, you feel like you're losing that. So that for me was what I was upset about. He's
and the one thing too, and like, I think as leaders, we all go through that, right? Like, you pour into, someone on your team, and I would say the majority of teams typically act like a family, right? You get close, right? And some agents really lean into that, and some agents distance themselves from that on a team. And, there's no right or wrong there, but, this is something that I had to learn over the years, and, really turn it into, this is a graduation and not a divorce. And, that has helped me.
I've learned.
Well, I think we all have.
He was my first, so
yeah.
And I babied him.
Aaron, we'll edit that part out.
Oh, trust me, he won't deny it either. So he would never deny that.
So did when you created the team, was it still in alignment with the new construction space? Is that kind of how you focused team growth and all of those things, or
That's
how
how I
did you?
got him started.
Yeah,
So that's how I got him started with stable income. So for me, like I knew the biggest challenge getting someone new into the business was getting them their first sale. So for me, the deal was I told him, okay, you need to be at this condo community so many days a week, and you need to sit there, look pretty, and give them the information they need. I'll make the sale, and then we'll split the commission. And that's what we did. And that really helped give him income so that he could get out of what he was doing at the time and dedicate himself full time to real estate,
yeah,
because that's kind of what you need. And I, was very glad I could do that. And that's what I try to do with all my agents, is at least get them going. Like if I get a lead and it's like, okay, I think that they could work this lead very well, then I'll hand it off to them. I'm still going to make something on it, but I want them to learn and, help them through that process. So I'm just glad when I have the opportunity to do that.
yeah, yeah. I want to kind of switch gears
Sure.
and look into the future of where you want to go to, and the things that you're thinking about within your own business, and what's a goal that you're looking to accomplish in the next 12 months?
In the next 12 months, I'm trying to get my new community off the ground for 3 pillars. So it's a brand new community, brand new product. And basically, a lot of my focus is going to be there, if not, most of my focus. Just getting that going. Because what I want there is I want that product to be a success. And then I want them to do another community and for me to have the opportunity to go to that next community and then bring different team members in and have them help with that as well. So.
What do you think you would need to do in order to accomplish that?
That's a good question. So we're hoping that having some activity on site is going to spur some activity, more activity, more excitement. We didn't have anything in there finished until May last year. So we went past that spring season, and, last couple of years come June, we're kind of slow. But we started ramping up here towards the end of the year too, which is nice. So the people that are looking now, especially at condos, we know they're really serious.
Yeah.
So right now we've got some good momentum, and I think we can carry that through the new year and just get more people in there.
Yeah.
And there's no competition with the product. We're in that price range. So we're going to be between like 600 and 750, 730. And, they're a custom builder who's building in that price point. And it's just very good quality. No one ever says anything negative about the quality there. And the competition that we're going up against, I think we beat them hands down. We're either priced a lot lower or priced around the same, and for better quality. So
that's awesome. What's a 5-year goal for you?
5-year goal. 5-year goal. In 5 years, I'll need to figure out where I'm going to be. So this building will be gone that I'm in probably 4 years. So I need to figure out what I'm doing. So what are my next steps? Do I, continue with Howard Hanna? Do I go on my own? So that's what I need to figure out.
What's a legacy goal for you? What's a goal that you're looking to hit when you're no longer here?
So basically, I'm hoping. So what I really enjoy doing is training new agents. I like making sure that they don't get bad habits or, lazy habits, and that they have professional habits. So a great thing for me is when other brokers and other salespeople tell me that, my agents were great to work with, or I was great to work with. And I love when I meet a newer agent that was maybe on someone else's team before, and they'll tell me, when I had that transaction with you, that was my very first transaction, and you were so great, and you helped me, and you didn't make me feel stupid. And I just want people to remember me for being helpful and kind, and, helping try and make this a more professional profession, I guess.
Do you think we'll
like
be
there are
able to?
certain things like that, about that really just drive me crazy. Like, you know, there's certain things that you just can't do. And, you know, pretend to be a real estate agent is one that I'm not fond of either. So I just want, I want us to be liked more than dentists.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we're on the same mission, right? It's all, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so many agents talk about raising the bar or raising the standards of
Mm-hmm.
our profession. And, you know, the trust level from the consumer standpoint is so low, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't see us as an authority figure. When I say that, what I talk to agents about is, think of a doctor, think of a dentist even, or think of a police officer or judge or anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they have on their side is this position of authority. And it's not like I make the rules authority. It
Right.
is, I am the expert in this field. So therefore you're going to come to me because I have something that you don't know. And then therefore you're probably going to listen to my
Mm-hmm.
advice. Right. And I think, you know, so many agents talk about raising the standards, but yet so few of us are willing to actually share and talk about what we've done to be successful. And I can promise you, you know, anyone listening in, none of us have invented anything that's,
No.
you know, groundbreaking and just ours, right? Like, we've all taken things from other people and learned and implemented it and tweaked it and made it our own. And there are a great portion of us that are willing to share. And I'm right there with you. You know, like, I try to remember that there was one time when I was brand new and I didn't know anything.
Oh,
You
I
know,
remember it vividly too. So I remember how awful it felt. And, you know, and even agents in my office and even other brokerages will call me for advice and stuff. So, and I enjoy that. And I always take time for them. I always answer my phone because if they think enough of me to call me and ask for my advice, then I'm going to give it.
yeah.
So to me,
Shannon,
that's
yeah. Last question for you. If you could give our audience one piece of advice that either you wish you had, either one that you received, or one that you've given out, if someone asks you, what is that?
So I think the best advice I received was pretty early on. So, and it was just next. Like, don't take stuff personally. Go on to the next one. And, you know, I tried not to take it personally that I failed as a real estate agent, but I wanted to succeed as a builder rep. So you just have to know next. So, and you can't take things personally. And in this business, like if I took things personally on a daily basis, I always say I'd be under my desk crying all day long. So you just have to really develop a thick skin early and know that you can't take things personally.
I love that. And I'm curious, because we are human,
Mm-hmm.
right? Was there something that helped you get to that point of either in the business or from your mental side of things? Because I think that's a big portion of what we do is the mental
The mental
roller
side.
coaster of being a small business owner, and no one talks about that, right?
Yeah.
But for you, what helped you just say next? Because it's easy to say, it's harder to do, I think.
Yeah. And I think I kind of do that in my personal life too. Like, I try not to let things get to me. And I've really worked hard at that. And I can, let's see if I can say the word right, compartmentalize. There we go. Things like nobody, I think. Like, I can just put things in a box and deal with them when I need to deal with them and get down to business. Like, I had a seller call me and tell me that, you know, she had let the buyer move in a day early before closing. And she called me frantic saying there's now a guy at the house. He's now driven a car through 3 lawns. Now he is in the common area, out of the car, vomiting, and, you know, what's going on? And I said, okay, well, let me find out. And she's like, why aren't you more upset? I'm like, do you want me upset or do you want me to fix it? And she's like, can you fix it? I said, okay, let me fix it. So I just have to like hear what they're saying. And I'm really like, I empathize with people probably sometimes too much. But I'm really good at putting myself in their shoes and then just getting the solution done. So I'm not sure exactly where something in particular made me say that, but even in my personal life, like there's been things where it's like, you know, just next. I'm on to the next thing. or on to the next person. Like, I don't need certain things in my life. Like, I don't need negative people in my life, family or otherwise. So just next. So
So
that
good.
word just always resonated with me.
Yeah, that's so good. Shannon, thanks so much for
Yeah, thanks for having me.
taking time out of your day to join and to share your story and your journey. Those that are watching, Shannon's email is down below. If you're a buyer, seller, investor thinking about doing something in the real estate space here in Central Ohio, please reach out to her. If you're thinking new construction, condos, and custom, please reach out to her. If you're a real estate agent and you just loved her story and want to pick her brain, please reach out to her. But Shannon, for those that are listening in, maybe on the audio version of the podcast, what is the best way for someone to connect with you?
You can either email me at shannongrimm@gmail.com or give me a call at 614-218-2228.
Shannon, thanks again. And if I can do anything for you, if I can help you out in any way, please reach out to me. I'm here to help you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll talk soon.